Broadcasting from the Dreamport.
Hey, it's Rich from the One Little Spark podcast, and I love listening to my favorite duo, the Theme Park Duo.
Hi, and welcome to the Theme Park Duo podcast. Grab your park map, churro, and hop in line with us as we take you on a coast-to-coast adventure through the world of theme parks, haunts, conventions, and more. Now, here's your hosts, Nikki and Gabriel.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Theme Park Duo podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Gabe.
And we are
the Theme Park Duo.
And we have a fantastic show today. We have a special guest on, Rich Stork from the One Little Spark podcast. And we are battling it out over which Tomorrowland we think is best. Our coast or his coast.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're continuing on our series of episodes with him where we're doing the coast-to-coast battle, which coast can boast the most, and comparing the different sections of our Disneyland to their Magic Kingdom, which has been pretty fun as of late. I mean, like, we get so into the minutia of what theme parks are really made of, and we get into the details of things that probably a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, and then it's funny because we go in with like a preconceived notion of, ours is better or theirs
mine
is better.
For sure better.
Or ours isn't better. And then as we talk about it more and more, we like pick it apart and we think of things we didn't think about originally, and our minds change.
I think one of the most depressing things is when you for sure know that yours is better before going into it, then you leave it going, well, I guess ours isn't that great. And then you just like cry in like the fetal position.
No spoilers, Gabe.
Sorry, what? I'm not saying that that's what I said. I'm just saying it's gonna happen. But anyway, before we get to any of that, we definitely want to give a shout out to a brand new friend of ours, Tommy from the Diz Quiz. We were lucky enough to be invited to become contestants on the Diz Quiz, which is a Disney-themed quiz show on YouTube, and it's a podcast. So he does, on the YouTube channel, he breaks up the games into two, but as a podcast, it's one big chunk so you can listen to it, and it's really fun. We had a blast.
We had a lot of fun. It was a great time. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, and I know that it's weird because normally I'm used to listening to us on the podcast in the car. I listen to us and try to see where we could do better and analyze it and stuff, but I'm not used to watching us.
I know.
So watching my facial expressions that I make when I record is going to be weird.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that. It's not like I stand in front of the mirror and do that all the time.
Yeah, it's our normal setup. We're sitting at our desk with our mic, but we're being filmed, so it's a little funny.
But we definitely want to give him a shout out and tell you guys to make sure to check him out. You go to YouTube and just type in the Diz Quiz, and that's the Diz with a D-I-S, not a Z, just FYI, because I made that mistake. It's Diz with a D-I-S. And the host is Tommy, and then you can also follow him on Twitter at the Diz Quiz, spelled the same way.
Cool. So,
with all of that finished, let's head into our first segment of the episode, the Theme Park Bulletin. So our first little news story of the day is something that makes me rather excited because it's on the Halloween-y scale, it's a little spooky, it's a little scary, even though I'm probably never going to frickin' ride it, but that's fine. Thorpe Park is going to be opening a Walking Dead roller coaster.
Where is this park?
So it's in the UK.
Okay.
It's not in the United States. Way far away from where we live.
Like, before all our listeners get super psyched, it's like, I can road trip somewhere.
I can road trip, and then a boat trip, and then another road trip there. But yes, so there's going to be a Walking Dead roller coaster opening up. So the UK amusement park announced this past Tuesday that it plans to open the world's first themed ride based on the popular TV show this spring. One that will take riders on a treacherous journey of survival through the recreations of gruesome scenes from the series, as well as iconic locales like the Prison Watchtower and the Alexandria Safe Zone. It will also incorporate multi-sensory elements, smell, too, and an outdoor queue area overrun with blood-soaked walkers, some of whom will appear inside the ride's narrative as well, at times seemingly surrounding passengers in their vehicles. Though it will feature cutting-edge theming and on-ride effects like mid-course pauses and live actors, The Walking Dead The Ride is not a new ride, but rather a retooling of the Surrey-based park's existing X, No Way Out indoor coaster. The attraction originally opened in 1996 and was designed by Vekoma, and it's the same people who basically built Expedition Everest and Space Mountain, things like that. which they make great rides.
Yep.
So that's going to be really exciting. And there's a lot of really cool concept art that you can look at. I think one of the more exciting aspects of this is the incorporation of live actors, which we've seen done in Universal Orlando Islands of Adventure for Kong Skull Island. So having these scare actors incorporated into the line.
Yeah, I think that's super cool and fun, and it gives a kind of an element of suspense before you even get on the coaster.
You know what's so funny? Because I went to Universal Studios without you recently. And
like 3 times.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was there to cover the Lunar New Year event, which, by the way, check out themeparkduo.com for the Lunar New Year posts and pictures and stuff. It's great. Anyway, moving forward, I went through the Walking Dead experience just for shits and giggles because I wanted to check it out. I like it. Gives me my Halloween fix, my haunt fix. This was before this news came out. As I was walking through it, I was like, man, this would be really freaking cool if this was a queue for a whole entire ride. Like, if they had a Walking Dead ride, this would be the perfect queue. You have animatronics, you have special effects. It's almost like it's part of the attraction going on. Like the Indiana Jones line is part of the attraction, or like the Roger Rabbit queue at Disneyland is part of the attraction in that way.
Yeah. Something
that detailed. I love it. And I'm hoping that this is going to be on that level. I really do, because it would be really cool.
That would be super fun.
Now, my only concern is because they are doing a Walking Dead themed ride, is that it has the ability to become dated very quickly.
Yeah, I'd say it does. Especially they're using scenes from pretty old seasons already, and like, it is a popular show, but you know, how much longer can it stay?
What's the longevity of it after the show ends?
Yeah.
That's my question, and that's my concern, because in my mind, what I think about in the same way is Six Flags Magic Mountain opened up a Terminator Salvation roller coaster, and that became very quickly not themed to Terminator after a while. And I don't know if that was just because they had planned for it to be called Apocalypse and they just happened to do like a tie-in for it at the beginning, or what happened, or if it just didn't turn out to be a big movie like they thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing I could think is that, Walking Dead or not, zombies are a very popular thing in pop culture, and I think they will still continue to be, even if the Walking Dead craze phases out. It's still a cool zombie coaster.
And it could, and even if the Walking Dead becomes one of those things where it's lost in like the zeitgeist of human beings, whatever it is, it could always just be a generic zombie roller coaster,
which
an
is still
apocalypse
fun.
Zombie roller coaster. Did I use that word right? Zeitgeist?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was impressed. I don't know if I should be.
I put a little zeitgeist in my coffee earlier this morning.
That's
just
definitely
wrong.
Just
a little pep. I don't know. I think that's right.
No.
Pretty sure that's where I heard it. Pretty sure I heard the barista like, "Hey, would you like zeitgeist?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? That sounds great."
If that's the context, then why would you use in the context that
because they give you zeitgeist in the line.
Okay, let's move on. Getting a headache.
Moving away from dead corpses and rotting corpses and things like that, we're going to be talking about Disneyland now.
Wow. It's a big leap.
How's that transition for you? That's a segue. So there are some major rumors floating around regarding Disneyland's annual passports. And this has been going on a long time, and some of them come true, and the raising of the prices and things like that. And the rumors that I'm hearing don't sound that outlandish, to be honest. So from what I'm hearing, and I don't know if anyone's ever said this on a podcast quite yet, so take it with a grain of salt, but if it comes true, you know who said it first, that Disneyland is looking to do park-specific blackout dates when Galaxy's Edge, or right before Galaxy's Edge opens up.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
So certain passes can only get into California Adventure and blocked out from Disneyland, or blocked from both parks entirely.
Yeah.
So that's what the norm is. The norm is if your blackout date, can't go to either park.
Yeah.
But if this is going to take effect, then that means you could go to California Adventure. I mean, they're opening up Pixar Pier, and there's a few other things that are opening up, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So there's going to be new things to check out, so we're really missing out, but they're trying to keep people out of Disneyland because of Galaxy's Edge. Then the other one, which is causing a much bigger stir in the community, is pass-specific complete blockouts from Galaxy's Edge. So they are only allowing the top 3-tiered passes to even go into Galaxy's Edge, which means that if the lower tier ones like Deluxe and belower are not blocked out to Disneyland, they could go in, but they cannot enter Galaxy's Edge. That is the biggest rumor that's kind of making the message boards at the moment.
I have 2 comments about this theory.
Yes.
You have one of the top 3 passes. I do not. If you go in without me, I will kill you. If this rumor comes true,
then you will never be able to get in.
If this rumor comes true, we are upgrading my pass.
Okay, maybe.
No, definitely. Okay. Or downgrading yours.
No.
Pick your poison.
No, then we don't get pictures.
You
love
do
the
not
pictures.
go in without me.
I'm just going to put on, like, I'm going to shave my beard, shave my mustache, put on a fake mustache and fake glasses, and I'm just going to go in and hopefully you will know that it's me.
And then my second thing is, logistically, I feel like this rumor is a lot more difficult. Because are they going to have a second check stand at all 3 entrances to Galaxy's Edge?
Well, from what I'm understanding, because there's 3 entry points to the park, or to that land.
Yeah.
There's over 1 by Hungry Bear, and there's 2 over right behind Thunder Mountain. I'm making the assumption that during that first year of operation, first summer of operation, there's only going to be 1 entrance and 2 exits, or 2 entrances and 1 exit. So at least they have that flow, so people can't go in and out, and they're going to have like this people swimming upstream and all this problem if there's going to be massive crowds.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be the same type of thing as the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and not so much in California, but in Florida when it first opened, it was like
one entrance
It was like once there was only 1 entrance in, but it was like once the park opened, it was like everyone, hundreds of people, beelining straight for Hogsmeade. And if there were 3 entrances, I think that would have been a
catastrophe.
Yeah. So I mean, that does make sense.
Yeah. So that's what my assumption is, and what my logical brain says is that the 2 entrances would be over by Thunder Mountain, and the 1 exit would be by Hungry Bear, just so that they could shoot people out as far away as possible from the entry point.
Yeah.
They don't want people anywhere near that area if they're going to be going in, because it's going to be mobbed. It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this is going to come true or not. It makes sense. It doesn't really make me all that mad, and it
only makes me mad if you go in without me.
And no, but the thing is that, like, even with, because Nikki has Deluxe, which isn't included in this, and I have whatever the one is right above you, which is included to go in. I didn't even plan on going in the first year, so this news doesn't like make me excited or sad either way.
You're gonna go in the first year.
No, I was not planning to, because I love theme parks. I mean, we have a freaking theme park podcast, for goodness sake, but I'm not into people bum rushing rides and themed areas and completely ruining my experience. I'm gonna wait for a while before I go in, and I know a lot of people who are sharing that sentiment, who are in the same boat as me.
I'll believe that when I see it.
I'm gonna be one of those people like decked out in Star Wars stuff. I'm gonna be like Jar Jar Binks running in, and people are gonna like slapping me with the lightsabers.
No, I don't think you're gonna go insane, but I think you'll last maybe a week, and then you'll be like, I need to go.
You're just
gonna start seeing pictures and spoilers, and your brain is gonna explode. So,
well, like,
I give it a week. Place your bets, people. Send us emails. We'll give out a prize.
It's a very different situation when, like, I'm looking at ride videos of rides that are in Florida, because we don't go there that often, as opposed to something that's literally in our backyard.
Yeah.
I am not going to be looking up videos on those 2 rides at all.
For a whole year?
I will avoid them, because this is a big deal.
I'm sorry, I don't believe a single word you're saying right now.
Okay, so we are we are going to make a bet right here, right now.
Yeah.
I bet you that I will not look at any videos, not look at any pictures if I can help pictures. I mean, if I'm scrolling through reading an article.
See pictures.
If I'm reading an article, okay, like if I purposefully look at a picture.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to purposefully look at a picture. I would read articles or reviews and stuff, but I'm not going to look at pictures or videos purposefully. If I happen to see a picture, it happens. But I'm not going to search it out. I bet you that I could last.
A whole year?
A whole year.
Okay. I don't believe you.
But also remember, you just said not too long ago, if that's true, then you're upgrading it so we could go immediately.
Oh, yeah, no, I have no qualms
So if you end up going in, then you ruin that bet.
No, I have no, it's not my bet. I'm betting you won't last. I never said anything about me waiting.
Well, there has to be another end.
Yeah, the end is either I win or you win.
Oh, well, that sucks.
No,
then you are going to win.
Well, yeah, I know. No, I never said I was going to last a year. I would be at the park at like 5 a.m. waiting in line.
Okay, cool. Then we have our plan.
So you already lost the bet you just made?
Yeah, so no one gets anything. So no one gets anything.
Oh my gosh.
That's fine. Moving on. Our last piece of news is also about Disneyland and the inclusion of a brand new area in Adventureland.
I'm excited about this. The former Aladdin's Oasis will soon be transformed into the Tropical Hideaway. This new experience will soon appear along the tropical shores nestled between the Jungle Cruise and Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. This one-of-a-kind destination will be a popular rest stop for Adventureland locals and weary explorers alike. Guests will be able to rub elbows with their favorite skippers in an exotic trader's market, featuring all the sights, sound, and flavors of the tropics. So this is basically, they're revamping Aladdin's Oasis. They're completely redoing it. It's going to be like this cool little hangout area, and I think it's a really cool concept.
I like that it's finally going to be used because I remember going into Aladdin's Oasis and liking kind of having that area to go into, and they had like the big Cave of Wonders thing, because they used to have like the stage play, like short version of it in there.
Yeah.
I liked having that area to kind of go down and sit and watch something.
Yeah.
Now they're going to redesign it to actually be like a hangout area. I'm 100% down with this.
From the pictures, you can see that it looks like the boats from the Jungle Cruise go right past you. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, so they're going to be coming back this way. So on the Jungle Cruise, when you're passing by Trader Sam, it's that right-hand side
It'll
building,
be on your right.
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's going to be over there. So you're going to be able to see it looks like.
Yeah.
Which looks cool. And it also looks like there's an animatronic bird off here in the right-hand side corner.
Oh, that's fun.
So he's kind of like in the same little perch like the tiki birds are in.
Uh-huh.
How much do you want to bet that they're going to bring back the Jujus?
Oh, that'd be fun.
Do you think they'd bring that back?
Yeah, I think they might.
So, if nobody knows what we're talking about, what was that, 4 years ago? 4 years ago? 6 years ago?
I think it was like 3D23s ago.
Oh man,
right?
You're right. It is like 3D23s ago. But they've had it the following year, I believe. So I think like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, in Disneyland, they had these things called Jujus, where we have a lot of them still.
Yeah.
They look like little tokens, like wood-carved, plastic-carved items that you can get by doing tasks around Disneyland or in Adventureland.
Mm-hmm.
Then they give you it. So it costs you like $5 to do one, and then you get the thing at the end of it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I really liked it. We did it at D23, and we got a lot of them.
Yeah.
If not all of them. And they had it at Disneyland for a while, and they got rid of it. I think this would be a great opportunity to bring it back.
Yeah.
Because the Juju thing, I thought, was a really ingenious thing to keep people busy that isn't a ride.
Uh-huh.
It keeps people out of the lines. It keeps people busy.
Keeps kids really occupied.
Keeps kids very occupied. So the more things that you could incorporate into the park that are not attractions like that, like Indiana Jones or Pirates or Haunted Mansion, the better.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for them to have augmented reality things on people's phones like Pokemon Go or some crap.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Mickey Go, and then you like have to catch Mickey with like a yellow shoe or some crap.
I feel like that would be troublesome just because of how like the crowds and stuff.
If
and
it was
not
very,
paying
if it was
attention.
very crowded, yeah. But people are already looking at their phones, which is the thing.
Yeah, it
People
just
are
make
always
it worse.
people are just staring at their phones, texting or going on Facebook or Twitter. Anyway,
do you remember like the height of the Pokemon Go craze? You couldn't go anywhere like Santa Monica Pier or anything without like dodging people just staring at their phones and walking. It was so annoying.
I feel like that's normal. I feel like that's an everyday thing. Like every single day, no matter where I go, whether it's a theme park, the market, the mall, the theater, I always see at least 5 to 10 people staring at their phones, walking incredible distances.
No, that's very true, and I give you that. It's
relying on their peripheral vision alone.
It's very true, but you can't deny that it was slightly worse when Pokemon Go was super popular.
Oh no, I don't deny that. So I mean, like, I think like if they were to, we're getting way off topic.
I just don't think it would be a good fit for Disneyland.
Maybe not, but I mean, I feel like it would only be like the major nerds who would be playing it anyway. Like, I don't feel like the normal park goer who's coming from Virginia will be wasting their time doing an augmented reality game on their phone.
If they did it where they only spawned in queue lines, I think that'd be pretty cool.
See that, and then maybe like a QR code to scan to do something.
Yeah.
Or even like do something else where their app is able to recognize different logos. Or they could do something where it's like each ride has a very specific game included, or a different thing you could do. Like, I think it would be awesome because like Indiana Jones Adventure is incredibly detailed, and they have the Mara font. What if they had an app where if you got your phone and held it up to the Mara font, you know what it says?
That'd be cool.
Because then it allows people to be entertained on their phones while being in the line, and it involves them in the story.
Yeah.
Because people look at it, and yeah, if you stare at it for quite a while, I bet you can guess what letters each one is. But it allows people to be enveloped into that story more.
Or just look it up
of the
online,
temple.
because nerds have already
I
translated.
have like 10 of them. So I translated it when I was like 8.
I know.
So yeah, I mean, there's people like me who have done it already. But I think that's a cool idea.
No, it's fun. It is a fun idea. I think more interactive lines is definitely a plus. It's something that we saw a lot at Walt Disney World, with just little things and games and germy things I would never touch, but I think if it was your own phone, I think it'd be safer.
That's a germy thing I wouldn't touch either.
Well, no, it's my phone.
We dropped it in the toilet like 4 times.
I cleaned it after.
I didn't eat that rice you put it in.
It's still alive. Of course not. I would be appalled if you ate that rice.
Don't waste it.
Go.
It was $5.99.
Oh, stop. Okay.
We've gone far off topic.
Let's go back.
Anyway, we are done with the news. Let's head into our main topic today, a coast-to-coast battle. Whose coast can boast the most? About Tomorrowland at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom with our special guest, Rich Stork from the One Little Spark podcast.
Let's go.
So we're here with our wonderful friend Rich Stork from the One Little Spark podcast.
How's it going, everybody?
And we're going to be doing another coast-to-coast battle. Which coast can boast the most? Tomorrowland edition. Because last time we did Main Street.
But who won last time? I don't remember.
Not ours.
I'm pretty sure it was us.
It was us?
Like Disneyland, because what we're doing is Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. And
we're Disneyland, Rich is Magic Kingdom.
So you got to defend and boast about your side, man.
I am the Magic Kingdom.
Oh, God, no. So, Rich, I know that you have a wonderful show on your side. And tell the audience, if they haven't heard of you, who you are, what you do, and talk about your show for a second.
Absolutely, yes. I am Rich, one half host of the One Little Spark podcast. Our show mainly focuses about Walt Disney World, the news, the attractions, the rumors. We do top 10s, interviews with cast members, history episodes, and mainly talk about everything. So we do go in the park as well, and we also have events. That's a lot of fun. And so we have a blast. We do it every 2 weeks. It's on all of your podcast apps and on social media as well.
Well, we're big fans of your show. We both have it on our podcast list. So every time one comes out, we definitely listen. And I encourage everyone who's listening who hasn't been able to subscribe to One Little Spark yet to subscribe and listen, because he has fantastic quality shows lined up for you to listen to. And I honestly forgot completely that Joey from the I almost said One Little Hacks podcast. I don't know what I'm talking about. Tongue twisted here. From the Disney Hack podcast has joined you in your Disney adventures, which is pretty cool.
Yes, he actually joined me as a guest the first episode after I split from my original co-host, and we hit it off from there. We always have great conversations, and meanwhile, a couple months later, he joined the show permanently after we've had a lot of conversation. I felt that basically it would add a great element to the show, and he brings a lot to the table. He actually was a cast member at Disneyland, so unfortunately he couldn't be here this week on the show, but he does know a lot, so he's a great guy, and unfortunately he couldn't be here, but we're gonna have a lot of fun anyway.
So it sounds like you guys went on a couple dates and then all of a sudden just decided to make it official. Is what it really
when I say
like.
hit it off, I say we hit it off.
You hit it off.
We actually never met in person, but as far as like Disney goes, you definitely go back and check out starting back with episode 19 of One Little Spark podcast. And he's been on, I think, 15 shows as guest from then until now. We're on 54, I think it is, this coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's always great to have him on. And we just decided, hey, let's just have you on every week. So it's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's jump into this segment of ours. We're going to be talking about Tomorrowland, like we had mentioned last time we had done the segment all about Main Street USA and comparing, contrasting the two coasts to each other. And we're going to continue on our little walk around the park all the way to Tomorrowland. So finishing at the end of Main Street on the right-hand side is Tomorrowland. Now, Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland, Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland, and Disneyland's Tomorrowland are extremely different in layout, in theme, in attractions, to a certain extent. It's really interesting because you have something so similar with Main Street, and then you get to something that is almost like a stark comparison to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time with this one.
Well, I mean, like, we've only been to the Magic Kingdom twice.
Yeah.
So having a little bit of the knowledge there helps, but we don't know it like the back of our hand, like our Tomorrowland, which is the reason why Rich is here. So.
No, I was thinking more along the lines of I like theirs better.
Oh, what?
I'm already deflecting.
Deflecting?
And me and Nikki win.
End of podcast.
Deflecting isn't the right
No,
word.
deflecting. You deflect to the other side.
No, it's...
End scene.
No, isn't that...
No, it's not deflecting.
Isn't it, Rich?
No.
Ooh.
Yeah. You're defecting.
Defecting. There you
Defecting.
go.
I added an L.
I saw her eyes get really wide because she like recognized
I figured
that
it
she
out.
used the wrong word.
I defected.
Ellie, I just couldn't think of the word, but I knew it was wrong.
No, I'll try my hardest to find good in Disneyland's Tomorrowland.
I'm gonna have a real rough time because I've had the discussion with Nikki before, and even when we decided to do this episode, is that I'm actually not a fan of either, to be honest. And
I hate it all.
and we'll get to it later in the discussion. But what I kind of want to do first is I want to kind of have us both kind of describe the lay of the land, what rides there are, and its kind of overall theming, so that the audience kind of knows what we're talking about, just in case they haven't been to either of these Tomorrowlands, and so that we could both kind of have a better understanding of each other's Tomorrowland. Because Rich, you've never been to Disneyland.
Nope. Not yet.
Yeah, so us describing what our Disneyland Tomorrowland is will probably help you a little bit in this discussion and our verbal assault on each other.
All I've ever really heard was it's insanely crowded and bottlenecked, and all I ever see in photos is just heads of people, and it's like not ever empty.
That sounds familiar.
Pretty much.
But,
yeah.
So, Rich, I'm going to let you go first since you're going to lose in this discussion. So, to describe Tomorrowland. But, go. Yeah, I know, right? So, you could go for it.
Let me describe basically the atmosphere. So, I actually love the atmosphere of our Tomorrowland. I love the music. I love the feel of the land itself. But there are a lot of issues. So, I'll start with basically once you enter. There's kind of like 3 ways to enter the land. 4 actually. You could turn off of Main Street and through the Tomorrowland Terrace and cut through near the infamous purple wall right near Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. You can cross the bridge near the hub area. There's also an area near the Speedway, and the 4th is kind of a quiet hidden pathway where the smokers go through from Fantasyland through the back area near Space Mountain. So do you want me to describe like all of the rides or just kind of what it looks like?
I would describe kind of like the general layout and the major attractions that are there. I think that's important to know.
Okay. So once you enter, let's just go as if you're entering the park and you take that right. The first thing you would see is Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor on your right and Stitch's Great Escape on the left, which is temporarily, I guess, closed for a meet and greet. And in the meantime, I think they said they may bring it back. It may go away forever. There's also the
Go away forever.
I hope so, yeah. The Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover, which is my favorite. Probably one of my favorite rides in the park. Anyway, you continue going and you see straight ahead, you see the Astro Orbiter. which is not fun to me. And then there's a couple like ice cream stands and shops in here and there. If you continue forward, you see on the right-hand side, you would see Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. And continuing straight, you would get to the Carousel of Progress. You take a left, and you see a stage. And that's usually where they have dance parties and things like that. Continuing forward is Space Mountain. And if you keep going, that's where Tron will end up being, right kind of tucked behind Space Mountain on the other side of the railroad. And if you continue going counterclockwise, you'll get to the Speedway, which is horrible, and and that's pretty much it. There's a Cosmic Rays.
Oh, you have
restaurant.
Sunny Eclipse,
and that's it for Tomorrowland, as far as the layout.
So I mean, like, ours is really, really different. So we don't have. I mean, I guess we have a lot of entry points. You have the main entry point that comes along from Main Street, and then you also have a few different entry points from Fantasyland.
Yeah, just really two, one on either side of Matterhorn.
Yeah, so if you come around the Matterhorn on the front side where you pass by the Fast Pass kiosks and the main line, and then on the back side of Matterhorn, which actually is in between the building that houses the restaurant, the Tomorrowland Terrace Grill, and yeah, it's in between there. So there's only around 3 entrances to that, and 2 of them meet up and go in the same area, and then you'll...
Oh, there's one more.
Where's it?
It's right by Astro Blasters. It's the one where you have to cut through the pixie.
Oh, well, that's I still consider that...
No, it's different.
Well, you're talking about the bridge?
The one that goes through Tinkerbell's meet and greet. It's literally...
That's actually the line. That's the extended queue for Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters.
But you can get through.
Yes, so when it's not used as the extended queue, you can technically use it to get into Tomorrowland. Yes. Still from Fantasyland.
Yeah.
And then kind of ours has gone through a lot of really weird changes.
Yeah.
There was a time when it was like all bronze, and they changed Space Mountain from its stark white to this weird aged bronze, and a lot of things changed, and then they decided to go away from that, and right now I kind of feel like it's in this limbo of it doesn't really have its own particular identity. But in regards to like what you said about atmosphere, I do have to say that I love the music and the that type of atmosphere that it's creating, because honestly, like, when I look at like Disney loops, like we all do it, Disney music loops, land loops, the music to listen to on YouTube, Tomorrowland's actually the first one I go to, just because it has a lot of nuanced music from different attractions that I think is really, really fun.
Now, do you have the same background music that we do?
I have a feeling that we do, because the last few times I've gone, I've been trying really hard to pay attention to the music. I do think that it's not exactly the same, but I think it's about like 90% the same, if that makes sense. But I do like that aspect. But overall, I feel like our Tomorrowland kind of has an identity crisis.
It's this weird amalgamation of failed attempts
of the future
to update it that just fell through, and so it's just kind of a hodgepodge of failures.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Ours is kind of the same in the fact that they just got to the point where they just started shoving IPs in like insanely everywhere, and they're like, oh, Stitch there, Monsters Inc. there, Buzz Lightyear, and now it's like we're dealing with these attractions that don't fit, but we still kind of like them, but because they're there.
Yeah. So let's go around ours.
So as you're entering from Main Street, what do you see?
The first thing you see is Star Tours.
The Star Tours on the right-hand side, and then
Astro Blasters on the left, and the Astro Orbiter is right in the middle. It's like the centerpiece of the entrance, and I actually, not that I enjoy the ride that much, I think I've ridden it twice in the past 10 years, but it's a striking entrance. Grand entrance, and I did miss that at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a pretty cool overarching kind of Tomorrowland logo.
Yeah.
But I feel like the entrance statement of the Astro Orbiter and something that massive is rather cool.
Yeah. So,
and you have these pretty big bronze rockwork that are jutting out of the ground too, kind of facing towards Tomorrowland.
But then again, it's like rocks, and then you get inside and it's all futury space station-y. It's like, what are you
Well, it's supposed to be like another planet, I guess. I don't know, because it's Tomorrowland, and it doesn't matter.
Tomorrowland, not other planet land.
You sense the sarcasm? So as you make your way past that, like Nikki said, you have Star Tours on the right-hand side, and then you have Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters on the left.
Which, our Astro Blasters is better.
We'll get to that,
I'm
Nikki.
sorry.
We'll get to that. Stop getting ahead of yourself. Over the top, you have the old tracks to our old people mover, then the once rocket rods, which still sits there.
It's a very sad reminder.
Very sad reminder. And then as you come around the right-hand side, you'll pass the Starcade, which is just a store that kind of lets out from Star Tours.
Another sad reminder.
Yeah, and then you have the Magic Eye Theater. Or is it the Magic Eye Theater? What's it called?
Oh,
the place where it had like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and Captain
Yeah,
EO
it
and all
is.
that stuff.
Now it just says Path of the Jedi.
Yeah, now it's Path of the Jedi where they show stuff. And then you have, to the left of that is the entrance to Space Mountain. To the left of that is Pizza Port. And then to the left of that is Innoventions. And that's all kind of just in one fell swoop. It kind of feels like all one big building. That's the reason why I mentioned them all.
Yeah.
Because it all kind of is encased in the same thing. Then to the far left, you have, right next to Innoventions, you have Autopia.
And the...
Submarines.
No, and the monorail entrance.
On the monorail entrance is there, right above the submarines.
Yes.
So we actually have quite a bit of stuff in our Tomorrowland when you think about it. So that's kind of cool. Overall, the layout kind of feels not as big as Magic Kingdom's. There's a lot of open space in Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Ours is definitely more compact in the way it's built. It kind of feels more like feels like an arrow. Because if you think about it in the sense of, like, if you're walking down the main entrance of Tomorrowland, you'll hit that big spinny water ball thingy. Like, if you've ever been to a Tomorrowland, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The one where you try to push it and, like, people slip and bust their teeth on it and stuff. And then it kind of juts into a different direction, and it kind of feels like a big arrow.
Yeah.
A big
Oh,
triangle.
and then right in the middle, don't forget, is the stage. The Tomorrowland Terrace dining,
Stage.
and then it's the stage where they do Path of the Jedi.
No, Path of the Jedi.
No, it's the Jedi Training
Academy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Tomorrowland Terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Okay. It's the terrace.
Yes.
Yeah.
You call it the restaurant.
Well, because I was saying it's attached to the
Make up your
restaurant.
mind. No, yeah. So that's kind of ours as a whole, and there are a lot of similarities with attractions, but the quality and the way that they've been imagineered is extremely different. One big difference that I would have to say that I consider it a negative for you guys, Rich, is that you guys don't have Star Tours. I feel like Star Tours is like a perfect setting for Tomorrowland.
But it's weird though, because I think because of where it is at at Walt Disney World, it's perfect at Hollywood Studios though. So it's weird to think to me, because I've never been to Disneyland and you've had that there for a long time. I can't even think of it fitting in our Tomorrowland. It makes sense though, but we have all of our Star Wars stuff and movies and everything over at Hollywood Studios. So it to me it makes sense, but it just sounds so weird. And seeing like the Magic Ear Theater or Magic Eye Theater.
Oh, come on, don't let it slip, man.
I had to throw it in there. And also Innoventions going at your Disneyland is just weird too, because I always knew that as Epcot. So it's just different. It's different to see that stuff, and I've seen videos and pictures. I'm like, it's just so weird. It's like an alternate universe, like we talked about on the last iteration of what we're doing, and it's just like the same but not.
Yeah.
So it's like an alternate universe to me, which you think it fits, and to me, I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, well, we had kind of the reverse happen when we went over there. We would get angry that we'd be like in Tomorrowland, and we're like, what do you mean we can't ride Star Tours?
What do you mean I have to take a
we
bus?
have to get on a bus
all the way over there and go all the way to Hollywood Studios and then ride it.
It's like we came back here and we like cried
Yeah.
with joy that we could walk there, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, you mean it doesn't take me an hour to go from Space Mountain to Star Tours?
I don't have to.
Thank the Lord.
I don't have to commute. What?
Public transportation. What? No, yeah, I completely see what you're saying. Like, it is a very different situation in Walt Disney World, since a couple of the things that we have are in different theme parks over there for you. So I can see why that feels really weird. And for me and for Nikki, it feels at home because that's just what we know.
Yeah.
It feels right there. One attraction that's right next to Star Tours is Astro Blasters. We both have those.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, unequivocally, ours is significantly better.
Yeah.
Simply based on the fact that you could take the gun out of the holster.
Yeah.
And I got so mad. I got so mad when I was riding the one over there. I just was like,
why is this coming out?
I basically was just shaking it back and forth. Like, if you see me in the picture of us, it's like Nikki's like kind of having fun, like she's kind of like digging it, and I'm just like pissed.
Even the range of motion on it is not that good.
It moves about like 3 degrees to the right and left.
It's one of those rides that has an extremely long and popular. It's like really long lines. It's always popular, and so many people like it. And I'm just like, why? It's not good. It's like it feels like the lowest, like a step up from our Peter Pan, with like black lights and glowing things that don't barely move with lasers, and it's just so outdated. I wish they would gut the building and make some amazing thing there, and but they won't. They'll probably keep it because it's popular.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I mean, like, ours is definitely outdated too, for that matter.
But it's
just a little better. It is fun.
Yeah.
It definitely is fun. I do think it could be a better use of space, though. Overall, I think that it's a people eater. And Rich, I don't know if I've shared this information or this story with you. We may have shared it on the show before, but when we went to Walt Disney World, we went to Astro Blasters, and when we got in line, the line was moving. There was basically no line, so we got all the way up to the point of like where the conveyor belt was, like where you get on, and everything just stopped. Like nothing was moving, and I just see cast members like running into the attraction. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And then like some other cast member came out, and I was like, what is going on right now? And so I think like my memory might not be the best, but for some reason I remember saying some little kid puked. All the kids jumped out of their cars and are running around.
Yeah. Oh. That's what happened. Because they can slip right out.
They're just all running around the attraction.
Like
so they
inside?
So they got them back in the cars, and then they're like, okay, you can come on now. It's just like, how does that one thing lead to the dramatic, all the kids are running around now?
It wasn't all the kids, but definitely few kids got out of their cars.
Stop now. And they you hit that big red button that instantly stops the ride.
The big red candy-like button. Yeah, so that was definitely a really funny moment of us over there. Yeah, I mean, like Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, like I said, I could take it or leave it. I do think ours is better, but what can you do? So, moving along, do you want to compare the Astro Orbiters? They're the same thing.
They're the same.
The theming
One's
is
just
different. The same
higher
thing.
up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whoop-de-doo.
I've done it. Deal. I've actually only done ours once ever in my life.
Really? See, I like doing ours sometimes, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Okay, now is your setup for the queue equivalently as horrible as ours?
Ours is pretty bad.
Ours is pretty bad. It's basically like zero queue, and so when it gets really busy, it's just like going out into the middle of Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
It's a bad efficient. It's not efficient at all. It takes forever, like no matter what, and then you have to take this elevator up, and then you still kind of have to wait. It's just kind of weird, and the payoff isn't like good enough in my opinion.
No, it isn't. It's just like a little bit more intense version of Dumbo.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
I wouldn't say it's horrible. It's just skippable to me. But it's cool though. Like I like the way it
from an
looks.
Adult point of view. Remember that.
Yeah, but my daughter hates it too.
Oh,
she's like, I want to go on fun things now. I'm like, oh.
Is that what she says?
Yeah. She's like, I want to go, and then she likes Buzz. So it's like if you look at it in that aspect, though, there's a lot of things that are great for the park. You know, like Talking Mickey that they're removing.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
I know.
So, anyway, that's a whole different.
It's a whole other can of worms to open up on another episode.
But no, like if you look at it in that aspect, as far as what's good for who, like the demographics. There's a lot that's amazing, but for me personally, I just don't like it. But, you know, kids love it. Kids love Buzz Lightyear. Kids love Stitch. I've heard people love Figment, and they come out of that ride, and they're like, oh, my God, I want the stuffed animal. And the parents are like, no, you know, later
Don't
we'll get
look
something.
at me like that, Nikki.
That was Gabe
Don't look at me like that.
on our honeymoon. He wanted to buy
But-
like 10 Figment things.
It's like I went onto the ride wearing my shorts and t-shirt, and I came off the ride wearing a Figment hat, a Figment shirt, a Figment like shorts and shoes. Like I was wearing everything before even getting off. And Nikki's like, "How did you even get that?"
They're like, the new sponsor of the ride. Gabe.
It's Gabe.
I am the new dream finder.
Yeah, so there's that aspect of it. Is like, that's a whole other thing as well. Is like, what's good for who they're going for. So,
I mean, you make a good
Yeah,
point. I mean,
good
if you look at Tomorrowland as a whole, on either side, there are a lot of attractions that are appealing to different demographics, to different age groups, which is kind of cool. I mean, if you look at like Fantasyland, it's kind of one note. I mean, ours in particular, which is another conversation, it's mainly small kid rides. But Tomorrowland really is appealing to a lot of different age groups, which is nice. Moving further down, another comparison of rides, which should be an interesting conversation because I'm a little on the fence about this to a certain extent. I know Nikki's probably going to think I'm freaking insane. Is Space Mountain? Space Mountain is very different on either coast, and
I'm jealous.
yeah. See, like the thing is that like when I rode yours over there, it was so different that I liked it.
Well, you have ours memorized. Like, you know when
I
each
know
turn
where the
and
turn
coming.
is. Yeah, I know where the dips and the turns
Yeah.
and everything is. Like the music cues for certain things to happen. Like I have it memorized. And when I went on yours, I felt out of control. Like I thought I was gonna fly out. And I really loved how just there was like probably like one boombox at the bottom of like the entire dome playing that song on loop. Like some guy has to run out there every 10 minutes and just rewind and then press it again.
The cassette must flip now.
Yeah, pretty much. So like I love that feel to it. Also, I just love the music from it. The music was dated in a good way for me.
You know, fun fact about the music from our Space Mountain is the guy that does the narration for the People Mover and the land created that music.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it like the weirdest
Combo.
like I heard that on a podcast. He's like, yeah, I wrote the music for Space Mountain. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's the most random thing ever.
Dude, you should try
like,
running to that music. It's pretty great. Not lying. It's pretty great.
It's not bad music. It's pure 90s, but it fits. I just kind of wish it was in the cars like your guys.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's what sets ours a little bit above yours. What?
The boombox thing. I can picture that happening because I've seen that ride with lights on, and it's not pretty. There's like 6 inches layer of skin and dust, just like built up from the decades of them like not chiseling it off the steel.
And I'm not talking about like a black boombox. I'm talking about like old school silver boombox.
Yeah, like
sitting in the middle on the floor that somebody has to run out to and like jab it with a stick to like rewind and then press play. Like one cast member has that job.
They're
And
like,
it's
you're
the
earning your
shittiest
ears.
job.
Get out there.
You're earning your ears, exactly.
Get
Till
out
he
there
gets
to the
his head
track.
lobbed off by one of the 2 tracks. But on a much more serious note, I do think that's what makes ours better is the onboard audio.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have 2 tracks, the onboard audio and the quality, as well as the updated special effects in ours, kind of set it apart.
Orlando's queue better when you're stuck in it.
Yeah, you have like the interactive games and stuff like that, and kind of like the old school like little freaking like models that are spinning around in the windows too, that make you think like you're looking into the ride or something, which is really fun. The dual tracks is fun. We only got to do one side, which is kind of a bummer. Or did we do both? No, we only did one side.
I've done both.
You've done
Okay,
both. I've only done one.
So with you guys having just the one track, is it a longer ride and is the efficiency better? Like, how does it work as far as that goes?
The efficiency I've never had an issue with.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's like if you're standing, because when you get into the actual boarding area, it's 2-storied. So when you walk in, you're on the second story and you swirl down to where you get on. So you get to see these cars getting through and people coming off, getting on. These people have it down fast.
Also, you have 2 across, so maybe that doubles the efficiency, right?
Yeah, it definitely doubles the efficiency. So I guess if you could think about it, it would probably end up being the same because you guys are all single road. So you jump into the single row, and once I jump in a single row on the other side and they go in, it's the same thing with us. It's 2 rows or side by side. So, the one thing that made me nervous about yours is when we got in there, you know how you kind of like dip down and then you go into like the light speed turbo tunnel thingy? I put my hands up and my hands were dragging on the ceiling and I'm like, nope, all the nopes. Nope. Not.
I
putting
want my
hands
fingertips.
No, dude, my hands were like palms down, dragging on the ceiling.
Oh, I also don't like where the picture is placed in Florida.
Yeah, because you never got the hang of it. You got one picture with you smiling because I'm like, just look to the right. It's right there.
But also, it's like a side view, and then you just see like this black tarp behind you. It's blah. It's super blah.
Yeah, I guess like it doesn't have like that picture setup, kind of like ours, where you have like the overlay on top of it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a rockin' roller coaster or any other pretty much photo on a ride.
Yeah.
They have like some layover that goes on top.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't like. I agree with you on that. But I do think our Space Mountain is better because of those reasons. I think there are things that your Space Mountain have that are redeeming qualities, like the boombox. But overall, I think Space Mountain on the whole is better on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I agree. I've seen another thing I like about yours. I've seen videos of like every variation, and I love that you guys get different versions when we have like the same.
Also, like Ghost Galaxies, we had we had the Star Wars overlay. They at one point they did a Red Hot Chili Peppers overlay, which was my favorite thing ever. Red Hot Chili Peppers does not fit in Tomorrowland at all, but it's my favorite band in the entire world, and they had an overlay for it. Oh my god, I can tell you I rode that thing so many times. It was ridiculous. So that is interesting, and kind of moving on from Space Mountain, one thing that you guys have that we don't have, that I'm extremely jealous of, that I think kind of sets your Tomorrowland apart from ours, is name escapes me.
Carousel of Progress.
Thank you for whispering. Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is something on a daily basis that I think about and that I miss a lot. And I'm really jealous.
The thing is, too, which is kind of weird, is I never felt that it fit there. It should have gone in Epcot, but, it wasn't there whenever they brought it over. Mm-hmm. Also, Horizons was basically the follow-up, according to, like, what people say and think. And then now that's gone. So even if it was at Epcot, it would just kind of be there still. So I love Carousel of Progress, and I go on it as much as I possibly can because I'm scared that one day they're going to say they're shutting it down. I'm scared of that one day. I mean, I've no, like, rumors or anything, but I love it, even though I don't think it really fits. It's kind of like just there.
I agree. I mean, it's weird because it kind of fits, because I guess the idea of what Tomorrowland
the concept fits.
Is the consistency of things changing and technology and things like that, and to see that kind of happening over a period of time to a particular family makes it kind of fit.
But the fact that most of the ride or attraction is set in the past is kind of where it doesn't really fit with Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that, and also the fact that where they end up later, like in the future,
is like now.
It's kind of like now, which is a little weird. 90s. But I mean, like, I think starting from the past is a good idea to see that progression of technology for Tomorrowland. Except the future one has to be future for it to make sense completely in Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
and that kind of still falls in line with the whole concept of Tomorrowland and not fitting, which is we'll get to eventually.
They're using technology you can get on your phone, like no big deal.
Yeah.
I've got the high score.
Well, that was kind of one of the reasons why, like, Innoventions turned into just like a Marvel meet and greet area over here, because it's like their whole House of Tomorrow basically
There was nothing to it anymore.
Yeah.
And basically,
Same
Innovations
thing.
is just a glorified Star Wars area now. It's
Yeah.
called
Same
Star
thing
Wars
with
Launch
ours.
Bay.
Ours was like, you can order groceries from your fridge. And I'm like, well, that's been out. And then, like, the next year, everything was like, oh, it's voice activated. I'm like, okay, they have that at like Lowe's and Home Depot. But now the last year that I went in there, I still liked it because it was like fun. And back then they had stuff that was like actually futuristic in the Home of the Future. But now it's like some kids science kind of show that they have in there. They gutted the house, so you still enter the house, but it's like a stage now. It's really different.
Weird.
And,
Weird.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Here's our innovations. It's that and some Colortopia thing where you could paint on the wall like with a fake brush. And then that's it on that side because everything's tarped off. You go to the other side and it's a Mickey meet and greet with like Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy. And the other side is Baymax and Joy and Sadness from Inside Out. And that's all that's in that building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we met Baymax over there.
Yeah, and we saw the Inside Out characters too, but we didn't go over
we
them.
didn't get to see. We didn't meet them. We saw them.
So I think like technology kind of moves too fast for Innovations to be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Unless they update it literally like every 6 months.
Yeah.
Which it won't happen.
Which is also the reason why ours is just Star Wars Launch Bay at this point. Like, there's no way to keep up with that.
Yeah, the bottom is Star Wars Launch Bay, which is really cool. I mean, they have a cantina. You can meet Boba Fett. Then they have the whole gift shop. And then upstairs is Marvel. You can meet Thor.
Well, that's gone? That is gone.
Oh.
That has been gone for a long time.
Is there nothing upstairs?
Nothing's upstairs. It's completely closed.
Lame.
Yeah, so you can see up there and it's like being worked on and stuff, but nobody knows what it's going to be.
Now here's a question. In the blue sky art for Epcot, they completely removed those buildings from our Epcot from the map. Do you think that when that happens at Epcot, your guys' Innovations will go away too?
Yeah, I do think so.
Well, I think the whole Star Wars Launch Bay will probably go away when Galaxy's Edge opens.
I think this is the main area that's really kind of taking place for the need of Star Wars, since there's no dedicated area yet. But I do see Innovations going away at some point, and then a brand new ride kind of showing up in its spot. Honestly, like, I think it'd be funny if Disney would just troll everybody and be like, "Come in and check out the future," and it's just like beepers and like brick telephones and stuff, and just like random crap. Like kids who don't know what they are gonna be like, "Whoa, this is crazy! It's so retro." They're gonna like pick up a floppy disk and be like, "Why is this like a 3D printed form of the save button?"
They have a lot of that stuff in the Japan Pavilion at Epcot. They have like all that old, like the first iPhone and all that stuff was like from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next to Innovations is Autopia. I want nothing to change with that. I love Autopia on ours.
God.
Even though it's not targeted at me, it's an opening day attraction. I think it's fantastic. I love that Honda is now part of it. They've redone the whole thing. It looks fantastic. They put Asimo in there.
He's super cute.
It's super cute.
Oh, man.
It's perfect. And also, I don't know, it's like this weird like love-hate relationship where when I do go on it, at the very end, like everybody's kind of like stuck in one spot, and it kind of feels like traffic jam in Los Angeles at like 6 o'clock. It kind of makes me nostalgic a little bit. It's weird.
From outside the gate.
So yeah, I mean, I really like our Autopia a lot. And by the way, it's not Autotopia, people. Shut your mouths. It's Autopia. Oh god, it's so annoying when people are like, "I'm gonna go on Autotopia." It's like, it's Autopia. Please, for the love of God.
I hear all sorts of iterations of things here. I just kind of phase it out because of how stupid things are. They're like at Epcot, and they're like, "I see the ball there. How do I get to the Disneyland park?" I'm like, "Oh, jeez." The cast members are like, "All right, well, you need to head to the airport first." I actually hate ours, and I see the appeal for like the little kids, obviously, but I wish they would just revamp it, like get the non-gas cars for sure, because that whole area stinks.
I kind of like the smell, I'm not gonna lie, of the diesel. It's nostalgic smelling.
I always feel
The
like my face
pre-cancer
is really
smell is
dirty,
great.
like after I ride it, and I feel like I'm just getting grime all over myself.
You feel like you're getting grime all over yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need
What are you putting your face up to the muffler?
I just feel like if I'm too close to the car in front of me, I just feel like I need to go wash my face after. I always feel like that.
I like the smell of the diesel. If they ever get rid of it, it's totally fine. I completely understand. But I'm definitely going to miss that smell.
They swapped them overseas, and then we did see photos of bodies of cars on the side of Space Mountain. But I think they were just spares or something, because that was like a year ago and nothing's changed.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. The track layout's been shortened over the years, and the sponsorships have changed. The cars have been pretty much the same, and I don't know.
What is the full name of yours, by the way? Because it's not just Autopia. It's like Grand Prix, isn't it, or something?
That was what it was called back in the day.
Uh-huh.
It's called, let me look at it on the map. It's the Tomorrowland Speedway.
Tomorrowland Speedway, there you go.
It used to be called like the Indy Speedway, I think. They changed it. It might still have it painted on the side, but whenever it was sponsored, that's what it had as the name, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't like ours, and I've seen videos of yours, and it does look a lot better.
Yeah, it's quite fun. I mean, ours also just got a huge facelift.
Yeah.
So that's really, really helpful.
And it's a kid favorite. The line is always so long because kids love it.
Same with ours.
Yeah, and what I like about ours, and honestly, I can't speak to yours, Rich, because we didn't go on it, but what I think makes ours pretty cool is that the terrain changes quite a bit when you're actually on it. So you're not just like on this cement road, you're going under bridges, you'll end up on like this quote off-roads area where it's dirt and you're like bumping up and down and stuff. You'll be going over in different parts of Tomorrowland, so you can look at Matterhorn on the left, and you'll be by the submarines. You get these really cool views of different parts of the park, which is rather fun.
No, ours is not. It's just actually their steering's is so horrible on those cars that a lot of time you're just focusing on not slamming into the track or the cars ahead of you that are going extremely slow for some reason. and that's literally it. I wouldn't say it's the absolute worst, but it's pretty much up there where I almost always skip it unless someone like demands to go on it, kind of.
Yeah. Which no one ever does, I'm assuming. Not many people demand to go on that.
My daughter's usually like, I want to go ride the Speedway, and I'm like, it's about to close. Our fast pass is coming up soon. We gotta go. And she's
Daddy,
like,
we don't have a fast pass. Stop bullshitting me.
I looked at your My Disney experience, you lying asshole. I'm like, oh shit. She's grown.
Do your kids come out of the room knowing how to look at a cell phone? Be careful with that.
I know, that's true.
And then kind of moving on from Autopia, one thing that we have that you don't have, kind of like we don't have Carousel of Progress, we have our submarines, which is called, it's all Finding Nemo themed, which is kind of cool. Although it needs major upkeep. Like last time I rode it, it looked terrible.
Yeah.
we still have something over in that lagoon area, which is kind of nice because it takes up such a big piece of land. It's big real estate right there. So it's actually a fun... I've seen videos, but I kind of haven't been watching too much, so I can save it for when I'm there. But is it actually a fun thing that you do most of the times you go there?
No.
I'd say we save it.
We enjoy it when we go on it, but we don't do it every time. We probably do it once every few months.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't go on it that often. I like going on it because you at least just get a chance to sit down. You're there shooting air right in your face, so it feels kind of nice. You just kind of relax for a second. The one downside is, like I said, the upkeep. And they need to keep it up a lot, and they don't. And so a lot of the effects don't work as good as they used to, or the projections don't look as good as they used to. With that being said, because you guys actually have essentially the same thing over in the seas with Nemo and Friends. But there's a couple of different scenes that you guys have, and yours kind of ends right after the EAC sequence. Ours continues on after the EAC sequence. There's a lot more to it, and I actually like our setup more than the Omni Mover setup.
Yeah, we're on submarines.
But
so yours is the same
story? Yes, it's the same story pretty
Oh,
much.
I didn't know that. Okay. And what was there before that? Was it 20,000 Leagues like it was here?
Yeah, so there was a period of time where they had, well, like, when Walt Disney opened it up, it was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That closed. Then there was nothing there for a long time. Like, it was empty, and then it was full of water, nothing was sitting there, and then they reopened it as this. And that's been going for quite a while now. Yeah. I think probably over 10 years at this point.
Did you like 20,000 Leagues?
I preferred it. I don't know if it was my nostalgic, I hate change kind of mentality.
It's probably that.
But I preferred the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea version. I
barely remember that. Like, I remember seeing that like silly sea monster guy with like his tongue sticking out.
They had mermaids.
And a mermaid. Like, I barely remember it. So it's hard for me to like definitively say I appreciate the previous iteration of this attraction.
I remember not liking ours because of how hot it was, and it always smelled like mold and sweat.
Well, that's because it's humid as crap in Florida.
Yeah, I don't know why they even made it here. It's like the appeal then would have still been bad back in the 70s. So I don't know. And maybe in winter, and if they cleaned it for once, but I always remember it being an extremely long wait. And then you get in it, and it's like you're just sitting there looking at bubbles going across the glass, and it's hot, and you're waiting to get off so you can go get a drink or like a Mickey bar or something. Yeah, it was just so hot, and I'm like, yeah. But then they built a ton of stuff now. But anyway, back to Tomorrowland. We don't have that. I do want to check it out. That sounds pretty cool, I guess. Do you think it fits?
I don't think it fits at all.
Not really.
I don't think it fits.
Why don't they just retheme it to like Fantasyland then, since it's right there?
That's to me. I don't even, in my head, it's not part of Tomorrowland.
That's honestly like I wasn't gonna mention it until I thought about the entryways to Tomorrowland, because technically
it's on the border.
It is Tomorrowland because the entrance to the attraction is in Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
it is in Tomorrowland. Although the big space that it takes up encompasses part of Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, because the edge of the water doesn't finish until the other side of the Matterhorn, essentially. So it's really big, and that big piece of water that you're looking at isn't the entire ride, because it goes into the caves and then it goes into like a whole nother part.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Like, there's a lot more to it, and it looks small, but it's really long. But yeah, I don't feel like it fits, and I feel like that's a really good segue into the conversation about either Tomorrowland's kind of themes and how they kind of play in part with the attractions and things like that, because I like we said at the beginning, ours is just a hodgepodge of random crap, and it's weird, and I feel like the way that they've taken it in Disney Paris, where it's kind of like this discovery, and like it isn't about tomorrow, and it isn't about the future, and it isn't about technology. It's more about the fantasy side of it. Is interesting. I think that's a really kind of good way of going about it, because then you don't have the pressure of having to stay up with the technology
more
side.
Timeless.
It is more timeless, exactly. This is smart.
Yeah.
You have good things to say sometimes.
But I just want to touch that a big point for California's favor that we didn't mention just now is the fact that the monorail drops you off right in Tomorrowland. I think that's super cool, and it's super unique just to Disneyland.
That is true. We've had this conversation before on and off the air, where we talked about how your monorail is transportation. That is what it's for.
Ours is an attraction.
Ours is an attraction to a certain extent. I mean, like, yes, it transports us from Downtown Disney to Tomorrowland.
But you can walk there faster.
Probably. And it's more or less an attraction that puts you right into the middle of Tomorrowland, which is interesting. And I think that's fun. And it's kind of cool when you're in Disneyland. Like, Rich, can you imagine being in the Magic Kingdom, standing at the partner statue, and like in your peripheral vision, you just see the monorail just fly by in the distance? Can you imagine that?
It's weird to think that, but
because it goes around the Matterhorn for us, it goes all the way around it.
If you look at the beginning of the Epcot video from '66, it kind of does like a 5-minute overview of Disneyland, and it's like Walt loves transportation and stuff like that. and he's showing it off here in the park, and it kind of just shows you a big helicopter view of that whole area in Tomorrowland. You see the people mover, the monorail, the go-karts going. I think even the submarines. It's like everything's moving, and it looks cool, actually. So I think that would be awesome. It's kind of like when we used to have the Sky Ride back in the day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of kinetic energy. I do have to give our Tomorrowland that. There's a lot of kinetic energy going on because you have, think about it.
I disagree.
Well, you have the monorail, you have the Astro Orbiter, you have the submarines, and you also have the Autopia cars, all moving. And if we had our people moving there again, it would have been awesome. It would have completed it.
Monorail is the only one you can see. You can't see Autopia because it's crammed in the corner. You can't see submarines.
Well, Rich was saying
off to the side.
Well, Rich was saying like aerial view.
But I'm saying like just from the ground, walking around, I'd say Orlando has more kinetic energy because of the people mover.
Yeah, but the people mover is off in the back. It doesn't like take you all the way to the front all the time. Like it's off to the side. You can't see it.
If our people mover was functional, I would agree with you, but I don't because our people mover is.
Or your opinion is invalid.
That's fine. That's fine.
No, I think I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like ours has a lot of kinetic energy.
Yeah, it's all the people trying to cram themselves in and out.
That too.
Yeah.
And the people trying to swim upstream, which is terrible because on the right side it's people coming in, on the left side it's people going out.
There's an unspoken rule.
You kind of walk in the direction of like the roads.
Right in, left out. It's an unspoken rule, and people just like to go against the grain, and it messes everyone up, and it's. I hate those people.
Park beats.
I think. Yeah. That's like the worst part about Walt Disney World is dealing with those types of people that just don't know courtesy from where they're from. And I'm like, I don't understand why they're doing this stuff right now. That's the whole reason why I have the segment on the show, and you guys have your own version of it too. It's like I was walking at Epcot the other day, and someone just stopped directly in front of me.
That's the worst.
And I'm like, that just happened. I just like walk around them.
It's the
like
worst.
All the way. You have to circumnavigate around their life.
It's like we were in Adventureland, and this family of 5 just stops. And our Adventureland isn't like yours. Our Adventureland is like our Tomorrowland, where it's very narrow. And they just stop like to look at their map. I'm like, hey, how about you do that somewhere else? Not right now.
Get out.
You're in the way of me trying to get to Indiana Jones Adventure, son. So, another topic, another time. But, but overall, I want to get back to like the theming of each. I do think that either of our Tomorrowlands would do better if it were to focus more on the fantasy aspect of tomorrow than having to worry about staying ahead of the times and being about the future. I do have to say that yours, Rich, I do like the main entry thoroughfare of yours a lot more than ours. But as soon as you get to the other side of like Cosmic Rays, on the side where Autopia is, the Speedway, everything, all of that side feels unbelievably dated. Like it doesn't feel like it matches at all to the main thoroughfare, and that's why I think like maybe ours by a very minuscule line might be a little bit better. But I mean, it's not by much.
I heard this on a different podcast that a lot of people were talking about the Speedway not fitting at all, and then they're like, but then again, in 1971, it was a great fit for Tomorrowland. Transportation, people were on the go, commuting was like really, really big and all that. So, and Walt was of course huge into transportation, so in efficiency. But now I don't think it fits. It's a good ride, I guess, for kids. I don't like it. I think it would be nice if it did go away and something like an entire land was built there because they have the space. But it doesn't fit to me, so that's a whole thing that we could talk about is what fits and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think that based on how society has changed, I don't think that maybe Autopia fits on either coast. I don't think ours is going anywhere anytime soon based on the fact that Walt opened it himself.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to get touched because I feel like if they do end up touching it, they're going to see a much worse backlash than the redhead situation. So And when you get Disney people mad, they get mad. So that's probably won't happen. But I don't think submarines fit. I don't think Autopia fits. If you're looking at themes, Star Tours doesn't fit. I mean, a lot of the things that we had over there. I mean, like you said, Carousel Progress probably doesn't fit. I think
the only thing that fit. I think the only thing that does fit is Space Mountain. I think in the People Mover.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear belongs at Hollywood Studios. Stitch doesn't even belong. The Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor goes to Hollywood Studios. The Speedway is, I guess it's okay for like a Magic Kingdom thing. It could possibly be rethemed into like a Fantasyland thing, I guess. Maybe like Cars or something, like or something lighthearted for kids.
That rumor caught on over here and people flipped their lids.
Yeah. The Rockets is just a spinner, so I guess since it's a rocket, it's futuristic, but you know.
But still, fantasy aspect of it still works if they were to change it.
Yeah, I think it'd be fine. I mean, they've been doing cosmetic updates to the land itself, but and Tron will definitely fit.
Yeah.
Do you think Tron would fit?
I think so.
Tron is in a video game. If you think about the movie and its concepts and its themes, you're inside of a video game.
Cosmetically it fits.
Cosmetic, you are 100%, my friend.
Okay, now what about...
it does fit, but the theming of the ride doesn't fit. But if you want to make that argument that everything in there cosmetically fits because they make it look like it fits.
When does the story take place in the film? I've never seen it actually.
It's in the original is in the 80s?
Yeah.
No, I mean
70s.
Does it take place then though?
Yeah, it does. It doesn't change time periods. The person just goes into a game. So he's then in that world of that game.
Yeah.
So it won't fit the theme of Tomorrowland again, but aesthetically it'll look great in the area.
It would also look great in Epcot, but wouldn't fit in Epcot. So it's kind of one of those things where people online were like, well, what about in Future World next to Tron? I mean, a Test Track. And everyone's like, yeah, but it doesn't really have a theme besides the movie. Yeah. So I think it fits in Tomorrowland look-wise. I think it's futuristic as hell looking. And if they could fit the rest of the themes to the land, not Pixar movies, and if they're going to go with movies, make it fit a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe they're going to keep a lot of the kiddie stuff, though, just to appeal to that demographic.
Honestly, like this conversation... We've been going on almost an hour now talking about the differences and what we think is better and what we think works, what doesn't work. And honestly, for me, after going into this conversation, I was like unequivocally us, 100%. Like to me, I didn't think about it, but now that we've discussed it, it's a toss-up.
It's a draw. I think
it's such a toss-up because there's so many negatives and positives on either side.
Yeah, when you start to dissect it, you're like, well, dang, maybe I don't like it so much, or maybe I love something way more. Now, what would you do, like quickly, what would you do if you had the power, what would you do to improve yours or change the land?
I'd bring back the People Mover 100%. Like, upgrade it and bring it back. And I guess add another ride where Interventions is.
So for me, what I would do is I would take Star Tours, I would put it in Galaxy's Edge. I would move it over there. Then I would completely gut out that entire building from where Star Tours is, all the way, got that store, got all the way back to where the Starcade is, and build a brand new attraction on that side. Something big, something cool, and a dark ride for Tomorrowland, because I think that would be really fun. And have it kind of spit out where the exit for Space Mountain spits out. That would be great. I think Space Mountain is completely great. I would update Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. I would bring back the People Mover as well. I would completely demolish and get rid of the what's it called, Interventions. Yeah. And I would build a brand new attraction there as well. There's a few other things that just cosmetically I would love to make it more fantasy oriented fantasy future oriented, fantastical. You know what I mean? Instead of more factual, being ahead of the times and being in the future. Those are the things that I would do.
Yeah, make it more steampunky.
Steampunky.
Have you ever read or heard about the Discovery? I think it was Discovery Bay, or what was it called?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was supposed to kind of be like that, though.
Yeah, and then we got it like half-assed Bronze Age,
Yeah.
which didn't work at all.
Mhm.
But how about you? What would you do to your Tomorrowland to kind of fix it up?
I'd keep the Speedway, to be honest, but I would completely revamp it. I would make the cars look cool, look futuristic, maybe have lights on them. I would change them to electric for sure. Change the track a little bit. It's kind of just grass and hills. There's no real themes. There's not even street signs or anything. It's just like you turn the corners and then you go around. There's nothing there. Let's see. Space Mountain, I would redo the entire track. If they were able to do like a 2-wide one, I'd do that. But if not, then just redo the track to be a little bit smoother and not as jerky. Update the music, update the visuals, and all of the sound cues in that attraction. But I mean, I love it for what it is, but it's like loving a lot of the old attractions because they're old and you love them from your childhood.
Yeah.
How dare
But
you get rid of the boombox, sir? How dare you?
Flip to side B. Carousel Progress, I would like it to be revamped to be maybe the scene, the last scene for sure redone, and possibly the previous scenes to be a bit more balanced, like the 20s, the 50s, the 80s, and then like 2030 or something like that, or 2040, where we it's like a lot of cool stuff in the last scene, not stuff we literally have on our phone. Anyway, Buzz Lightyear, I would definitely redo. If they're gonna keep Buzz Lightyear, then I would completely redo the ride to be like on par with Midway Mania. Let's see. Stitch, I have no clue. They talked about a Wreck-It Ralph ride going in there. So something cool that would blow away guests, not just something mediocre again, because I went on that 3 total times in my life, and all 3 times it was the worst. And I just shook my head, and everyone around me kind of just walked out like, well, that happened. I love Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor, but I would take it out altogether and move it to Hollywood Studios. In one of the theaters, there's like 5 of them there, it seems like. And then also, let's see what else. The Astro Orbiter is fine. I would keep it, I guess. They did update it in the 90s, I think, and it looks great. I think the whole land itself looks awesome. I like the little things too. There's like these palm trees made out of metal, and there's like fake metal coconuts even. It's just kind of the little things like that's pretty cool to look at. That giant spinning ball that's on top of the water.
Yeah.
That weighs like so much or whatever.
It's like a
That's
big ball
pretty
of
cool.
granite or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's like there's like 4 in the world or something, and
What?
that's one of them.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
there's something like not hardly any in the world, and there's one there, one in like Tennessee.
Then the one in ours.
Yeah, and there's like something like barely any. So anyway, and I think I definitely keep the People Mover. Like, don't ever touch that ride ever.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much. I would maybe, I don't know, just maybe add some meet and greets. They did talk about a Dreamfinder and Figment steampunk version to be walking around in Tomorrowland, which makes no sense, but
It's
they talked
so
about
weird.
it. So maybe some more meet and greets. They have that I Can robot guy that kind of roams around.
Bring back Push. Bring back Push.
Yeah, the only meet and greets they have is Buzz and
Chip and
Stitch.
Chippendale.
Chip and Dale are back in the hub.
No,
In
Chip and Dale are there. They're
in
wearing
spacesuits.
they're wearing spacesuits. We took pictures with
We
them
have
in
photo
Tomorrowland.
evidence.
Yeah, dude.
It's
we have photo
probably-
evidence.
It might have been. You're talking about ours, right?
Yeah.
It might have been like a one-off thing because currently they're back near the flagpole.
Oh,
Oh.
we got lucky.
Yeah, they were really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the restaurants I guess are fine. Maybe revamp Tomorrowland Terrace because it's always closed. and then Cosmic Rays is always so packed, but it's so huge. And I would keep
Sunny Clips.
Sunny Eclipse because You have to.
I feel like he doesn't get enough love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to the whole spiel 3 times in a row. I'm pretty much good forever. On it.
You deserve
It's
an award to have sat through that 3 times.
It's so cheesy, but it's so Disney World though. You're like,
There are a few things definitely in ours that are so cheesy and so dated that you don't want them to change. And I feel the same way about Walt Disney World. There's a lot of
like
things
Country
that are
Bears.
very dated. Come on, they have a song that says "Every guy that turns me on turns me down." How could you not leave that in there?
I know, I leave it in my mashup that I do every so many episodes.
Yes.
I'm like, well, there's that lyric, but that show's actually decent. And I'm like, but it's so corny and cheesy, but it's still. And then the same thing with the Tiki Room. You're like, this is so corny, but it's good.
I feel the same thing about our Tiki Room. It's very dated, but it's quintessential Disney. And I think that's what it could be turned into when you look at our Tomorrowlands. In the respected states, certain rides, certain aspects are quintessential Disney theme park experiences. And I think that's what's really fun. And what makes both of ours very unique and kind of deserving of their own visits to see, because they are just so drastically different.
Yeah, Tiki Room had the first animatronic for one, but like you're saying, it doesn't always have to be an attraction that would blow you away like technologically, because there's other rides that are so simple that are still great. But I think there's a lot of work that could be done in ours, and I guess from what you're saying, yours. So it's kind of a bummer that on the flip side, we're getting to the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and then over here we're getting the Epcot overhaul, we're getting the gondolas, and money's being dumped into that stuff. But then on the other hand, you have money not being going into things like fixing up Tomorrowland or other attractions that need TLC. Like our Peter Pan it's just so bad, and the line is so horribly long. It's just bad efficiency, it's a bad attraction, and things like that need to be cleaned up. And I wish they would dump the money into stuff like that instead of these huge, massive IPs. But think money for them, and that's why they do it. So.
Oh yeah, and hopefully they'll make enough money to do it again and fix the things eventually. That's what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah. I do feel like Tomorrowland always gets the short end of the stick. It
gets
always
the shaft.
It always gets put off. Like, oh, we'll do that later.
It's like the middle child. It kind of gets forgotten about a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little
it's
bit.
over there. It's over there in the corner. It's fine.
My brother's the middle child, so that's my defense of making that joke.
It's kind of a bummer though, because all they look at are like the surveys, and you have someone who's never been there and they ride Space Mountain. They think it's great, yeah. Buzz Lightyear was so much fun. My kids liked it. Of course, they're not going to remove these types of rides though, which we're like, get rid of it or revamp it. But the current surveys are saying that there's always an hour or two wait, and it's amazing, and there's always fast passes gone for these rides, and the kids love it. So
that's the downside.
They're not getting rid of it. Yeah, they're not getting rid of it. We don't do real honest surveys from like pass holders.
Yeah.
And
then
for
again,
us,
like
they don't give a crap about us because they're trying to get rid of us as it is. We're paying more for our passes for 2 parks than you guys are paying for all of your parks. It's ridiculous. But
I saw the price ranges, and I'm like, ooh, gross.
It hurts.
Gotta take a step back from that for a bit because I'm gonna get angry. But anyway, thank you for coming along on another portion of our segment of Coast to Coast Battle.
No winner this time, but
yeah,
that's
no
okay.
winner. It's a draw. They both knocked each other out to the ground.
Yeah.
Knocked out cold.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk about this stuff, but also like kind of sad. You're like, maybe I hate this. Maybe I hate Disney.
Do I hate Disneyland
'cause
now? You lay in bed
like,
at night with your eyes open, can't go to sleep, and you're just thinking to yourself.
You second guess your life. You're like, what am I even going to this park for? Now, the parks are great. I think whenever you dig deep into this and overanalyze it, you realize so many more flaws than the typical person would.
Oh yeah.
I mean there's no way to get around it.
Yeah, I mean, anyone first time visiting who doesn't really know too much deep into the history or all of the deep stuff like we do, they probably love everything about the parks. They're probably like, I love Tomorrowland. It was fun. I did so many fun things. And then there it is. So you have people that enjoy it, and they're not going to change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But I mean, overall, when I go, do I have fun? Hell yeah. Have fun. Have a good time. So, I mean, I guess that's all that really matters in the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rich, let people know where they could find you, my friend, so they could tune in to the One Little Spark podcast.
Absolutely. So we are on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Some episodes are on YouTube. We're also on Google Play for you Android users. You could also find us on social media like Facebook by searching for One Little Spark Podcast. You could find me on Instagram at Rich Stork, and you could find my co-host Joey at The Disney Hack. Same thing on Twitter. You could find me at OLS_podcast, and you could find Joey at The Disney Hack. And that's it. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Dude, it's always a blast having you on, having another fellow Disney nerd on the show to be able to get into the minutia of Disney culture and Disney theme park culture, really.
For sure, man.
So, thank you again, and till next time in our next coast-to-coast battle to see which coast can boast the most. Well, that was a lot more depressing than I thought it was going to be.
Like I said, we just realized the shortcomings of both parks. Tomorrowland.
And the thing is that, like, and I think I said this last season when we did one on Main Street and we were pointing out, like, all these flaws and things like that we don't like. I love Disneyland so very much.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I even like Tomorrowland to a certain extent. But it's not going to keep me from criticizing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's this fair balance of, like, love and hate relationship with every theme park.
Yeah.
There's pieces that you would want to improve and make better because you love it. You want it to be better. So, I mean, there's a difference between completely hating it and just ragging on it to rag on it, or pointing out flaws in order to help it improve.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like we were more on the latter than anything else.
Yeah, and we point out lots of things we liked too.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But we would like to say thank you again to our friend Rich for joining us on that conversation. And please do not hesitate to check out his podcast, which we've been on before, the One Little Spark podcast. Also, make sure you check him out on all of his social media platforms. As he said, they do a lot of really cool events. And actually, today, as we're speaking, they're doing an event at the Magic Kingdom in Orlando.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool that he does those kinds of things. I mean, if we lived out there, I'd be going to them immediately.
Oh, yeah, we'd be there. We'd be at all of them.
We'd be like doing like joint events or something. It'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
So make sure to do that. And then also we have some thanks to be giving to a couple people.
Yeah.
A couple people left us 5-star written reviews on iTunes. One of them being the name that he left on iTunes is Leash Face.
Wow.
That was the name, but he left a very kind, he or she left a very kind review.
Well, it's very
I
nice
don't
of
want to
Leash-
assume
Leash
gender.
Yeah, that's
How
gonna be.
dare I assume gender?
Yeah.
That's rude.
Is it a pink leash or a blue leash? We don't know.
Or it could be a black leash.
Green and purple. Oh, gosh.
How dare you assume
Other
color?
Oh gosh.
You're racist.
Yeah.
Why do I call people racist all the time? I feel like it happens a lot.
I don't know.
Do I do that a lot? Leave comments on on social media posts. Do I call people racist all the time?
I don't think you do.
I don't think so. I think I think it in my head.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's like a joke in my head, like that I tell people all the time. Like people are like, oh, I slipped on black ice. I'm like, you're racist.
Oh, got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like anytime somebody says a color, I call them racist.
Got it.
It's just funny to me because it just jumps to the immediate extreme. But yes, thank you, Leashface, for leaving us for that review, as well as 4DS, which we apologize because you left this review a while ago, but it was on the UK version of iTunes.
What? So
So-
we didn't see it right away.
No, we don't see it right away because our version is completely different. So I have to switch versions to go look to see if there was a review that was left.
Cool.
So I mean, there's a whole bunch of different country versions. So I mean, like I guess I could go to each one and check,
You should.
but I haven't because it's
What
gonna
if
take
we
a
have
while.
a whole bunch of fans in like Greece?
We do have people listening in Greece.
leave us reviews, please.
So
we will check and see them.
So we do have to apologize to the person who left us a very wonderful review, who basically found us from the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. After hearing us there, they started listening to us, and now we're a part of their playlist.
Oh, nice.
So big shout out to you for leaving us that 5-star written review. And as always, everyone, if you want to help out the show, leave us a 5-star written review on iTunes. It really helps us out a lot. It brings us up in the standings, makes it easier for people to find us and enjoy us like you are right now. Now, Nikki, where can people follow us?
You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and Periscope at Theme Park Duo.
And if you want to email us, you could email us at themeparkduo@gmail.com. With all of that said, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode, and we can't wait to see you guys again in the next one.
And always remember,
there's always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. See ya!
Thanks for riding with the Theme Park Duo. Make sure to gather all your belongings before the end of the podcast. Bye-bye.